learned about disease-causing bacteria, antibiotic resistance, and exposure, we are going to talk about how can we protect ourselves by choosing the right personal protective equipment while working at the farm. And to explain about this, we have Olivia and Danielle here, both medical students at the University of Wisconsin-Madison School of Medicine and Public Health. Let's start by asking, how is a farm worker exposed to antibiotic-resistant bacteria?
Any body fluids or secretions like blood, urine, saliva, or manure when we're performing activities on the farm. These activities include milking the cows, moving the cows, dealing with sick animals, dealing with dead animals, or when we have to move placentas.
Exposure can occur anytime a person is in contact with body fluids, and it can especially happen anytime these fluids can enter our body, like through our eyes, our nose, or our mouth.
While we can't remove the source of the exposure, we can take measures to protect ourselves. We can use personal protective equipment, such as boots, gloves, masks, or overalls.
Let's start with gloves. They should be worn every day and everywhere on the farm where you could be exposed to manure, tissues, or bodily fluids. But that doesn't mean you will keep them on all day. It is important to remove the gloves before leaving your work areas so that you don't contaminate other areas of the farm. It is also important to replace the gloves you are wearing when they become broken or after handling a sick animal, and to wash your hands between each glove change.
And as a reminder, when you're still wearing your dirty gloves, you should avoid touching any surfaces, like door handles, or the wall, or railings.
Now let's talk about boots and boot covers. Boots should be worn everywhere on the farm. It is very important to clean your boots anytime you're moving from one area of the farm to another area of the farm, or when you're moving from a dirty area of the farm to a clean area of the farm. For example, it's important to wash your boots when you're moving from moving cows to when you're going to go to the parlor. It's also important to wash your boots when you're going to move to a lunch area. Boots should also be cleaned after ending a shift.
Now let's talk about overalls.
Coveralls should be worn every day and anywhere where you could be exposed. There are many types of coveralls. Some cover your whole body, and some only cover your lower body. There's also types of coveralls that are waterproof and types that are not. It is important to know which kind of coveralls to wear for which job. Regardless of the type of coverall being worn, it is important to remove it before you enter a clean area such as a lunchroom. This is to avoid getting bacteria, potentially antibiotic-resistant bacteria, onto people's food. It is also important to wash and clean your coveralls regularly. For example, if your coverall gets visibly dirty or covered in manure, you should wash it off. If you do not have a rinsable coverall, you should use your judgment as to when to change it throughout the day.
Let's talk about aprons. Aprons are another type of personal protective equipment. Like coveralls, they protect you from manure and bodily fluids from getting in contact with your skin. Aprons are recommended to be used for milking, herd work, or maternity.
Another type of protection used for these jobs are sleeves. Sleeves, as the word implies, only provide protection to the arms. And any of these, overalls, aprons, or sleeves, need to be washed at the end of each shift in a dedicated laundry room on the farm. All work clothes, any personal protective equipment that we have talked about, should be kept on the farm and should be washed on the farm. They should also never be brought into your personal vehicles or your house.
Now let's talk about safety glasses.
Safety glasses should be worn every day and anywhere on the farm where you may be exposed to bodily fluids, dust, manure, and harmful chemicals. Safety glasses should be cleaned after each use every day and anytime you're going to leave the farm. They will also need to be cleaned throughout the day and at the end of the day. Finally, we will talk about face masks, also known as a respirator. Face masks should be used anywhere on the farm where exposures can enter via mouth or nose. It is especially important to wear a face mask when working with sick animals or doing fresh cow checks. Face masks will also protect you when doing activities that create dust, like when putting sawdust in pens. You should replace the mask after every use, and similar to the other protective equipment we have talked about, it should not be worn in clean areas such as the eating area.
In order for a face mask to work, it is important to wear it correctly. This means wearing it to cover your mouth and your nose. It's very important to remember that if any personal protective equipment is no longer working, or if you do not have the personal protective equipment you need for your job, you need to tell your supervisor. There is no excuse for not wearing personal protective equipment. Safety is everybody's responsibility.
And now let's summarize what we have learned in this video. Exposure to germs that cause disease can occur from contact with body fluids or secretions, or by touching a contaminated object or surface. Some jobs at the farm have a higher potential of exposure. You can decrease exposure by using the correct protection. Personal protective equipment should be cleaned every day. Ask a supervisor if you need personal protective equipment or have questions about its correct use.